to tell you a story about Vincent van Gogh, the famous post-impressionist, but not about his paintings, about his unrequited love. Now, this is part tragic, but part hilarious. In August 1881, his cousin, Kay Voss, shows up to a visit. She's recently widowed, and Vincent hasn't seen her in 3 years. He hasn't spoken to her in 3 years. So what does he do? He declares that he loves her, and he immediately proposes to her. She doesn't respond to this by saying no. Instead, she says, never, no, never, never going to marry you. Vincent does not take this as a no. Instead, what he decides is that I'll write her letter. She goes back to Amsterdam. He writes a letter after letter after letter after letter, trying to convince her, it's a good idea. She's not having any of it. In October, several months later, her father writes to him and says, listen, you've got to stop this. She said, no, that should be quite final. Just stop doing this. Vincent responds to that by writing him letter after letter after letter after letter. Eventually he goes to court. His uncle Sen gets involved, trying to convince him to stop. His parents get involved. They're embarrassed by him. They can't stop him. Eventually he goes to Amsterdam unannounced to attempt to woo her. Shows up. She's not there. But Vincent is convinced that she is and that she's just being hidden. So what he does, he says, just let me see her for as long as I can hold my hand over this candle. Sticks his hand over a naked flame. It burns him until someone finally blows it out. But he was left with a massive scar. And eventually he did have to give the whole thing up.